Hi, everybody. My name is Miles Ward, and I'm CTO at SADA. This is Cloud Next 2021 and a story about how Meow Wolf has created this incredible immersive alternative reality with the power of Anthos. I am super excited about having this conversation with you and to introduce our two guests, superstars from the Meow Wolf team. First, Jordan Snyder, Vice President of Platform for Meow Wolf. Jordan, say howdy.
Hey, everybody.
And one of her compatriots and cohorts, Nathan Bloom, who's a DevOps engineer we worked really closely with on this project. Nathan, say hi.
Hi.
So, like, I mean, like, the titles are a thing. I'm happy that we have executive sponsorship as well as hands-on engineering here in the room. But maybe you can tell us a little more about your roles in the project, starting with you, Jordan.
Sure, Miles, thank you. Here at Meow Wolf, I oversee our digital experiences, the development and the support of those experiences in and out of exhibition.
And Nathan.
Yeah, I'm a software engineer on the platform team. I focus on building tools for artists that are backend services, APIs, pub subsystems, things like that. Focus on doing that and the availability of those things as well. And yeah, that's really me.
Perfect. So we're talking, Meow Wolf is a company and it has a fantastic name. But what you actually were working on together was a product of that company, which is really kind of a building or a art show. Nathan, tell them about Omega Mart. What is Omega Mart?
If I had to put it in a box, I guess I would say Omega Mart is like an ARG. You could describe it that way. You could also call it like a painting or a sculpture that you can walk into and experience. It's a choose your own adventure sort of scenario where you get to kind of just be yourself in this crazy multi-dimensional world.
He is, folks, he is exactly right. Crazy, multidimensional. The place defies explanation. We have some video to show you what it is we're even remotely talking about. Take a look.
Omega Mart, your super friendly store.
We've given you an Omega Access card.
How would you describe Meow Wolf and how do you fit into the art scene?
Meow Wolf is an arts and entertainment company that produces immersive experiences that transport our audiences of all ages into fantastic realms. I'm Jordan Snyder. I'm the VP of Platform at Meow Wolf. Omega Mart empowers artists and viewers to experience art in completely different ways. It masquerades as a grocery store, but there's a whole lot more behind the scenes.
Hi, my name is Miles Ward. I'm CTO at SADA. In collaboration with SADA engineers, the artists at Meow Wolf have built this incredible environment called Omega Mart on top of the technical power of Anthos. That allowed them to iterate and innovate much faster, building this whole crazy environment.
Be sure to boop your Omega Access card.
Congratulations.
Using the boop cards, visitors can dive much deeper into the story in an interactive way that actually remembers their choices and their involvement in the story itself.
Here at Omega Mart, you have two constraints. I want my developers to have the experience of developing at the speed of cloud, but I also have to build an environment that is okay if the internet gets cut off.
This is a good example of the sort of cloud and on-prem hybrid environment that we have.
Anthos is a superpower. Anthos is a magic trick. Anthos is a technology for bringing the cloud to where you are. It's a hybrid and multi-cloud solution for Kubernetes. That's the game-changing technology from Google for managing cloud workloads. That's containerization. Our work with Anthos means that you can bring that little piece of Google Cloud right here into Las Vegas in the Meow Wolf installation, or on AWS or Azure or any of the cloud infrastructures.
And it all starts with your Omega values. Omega values?
Empowering artists is near and dear to my heart. I'm an artist too, and I know how frustrating it can be to be mired in the technical minutia when you're trying to bring something to life.
It's always in a state. No matter how it's changing, that's always a state that can be repeated. SADA and Google Cloud allow Meow Wolf to continue to innovate and build digital experiences for our customers outside of the exhibition.
This is a tantalizing first step. The Omega Mart is one store. Being able to manage applications not just for this one environment, but for thousands of environments in concert is an even bigger lift in utility and capability. Using Anthos, backed by Google's incredible security team, helped the folks at Omega Mart to operate without worry. They've really got Google's whole systems behind their back. Wow! Like, wow! I hope you, like me, were as blown away as could be in that environment. It is mind altering and soul altering. It is an awakening experience to walk through such a complicated, nuanced environment. Nathan, what does it take to build something like that? How do you pull together a team to create that kind of an experience?
Yeah, it takes a lot, and so many teams, so many amazing people working together all at once to create this huge, crazy thing. Um, and yeah, it's an experience. I think it takes it takes a lot. It took us years of iterating over the tools and experiences that we intended to deliver. Um, and yeah, a lot went into it. um,
So as you're doing that build, right, you're creating, really kind of an event operating system, a way of coordinating a bunch of not only like lights and display elements, but individual computers that users get to interact with, a whole tracking system for hundreds of simultaneous players. And you're doing the real run up for that is just in a super short time window. Talk about the pressure to get it completed on time.
Totally. Yeah, we had about 3 months from when I arrived in Omega Mart to complete like our final iterations over the tools that we were delivering, and also the end user experience and working with those teams to deliver those things. Um, so yeah, very short timeline, 3 months. And that time is super precious. So we needed to be really on our game and really have systems in place that were super reliable, and also support in place that was super reliable.
So I hear from customers all the time that developer productivity, developer efficiency, developer speed is just it's just critical. They all have big goals. You've got features to ship, but this is like an experience where if it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. Talk to me, Jordan, about like the other constraints, right? This isn't something that can just run in the cloud.
That's exactly right. No, we needed to run this on-prem, and we knew that pretty early on. We knew that we had very little window for making mistakes when it comes to the responsiveness of the system. We don't want it to go down when the internet goes down. We don't want it to maybe take too long to respond to a user and their interaction. Users can really perceive more than 50 milliseconds of latency. That's a really low number for returning information and really doing number crunching and figuring things out. And we've given the user such a dynamic, rich experience that there are a lot of decisions being made on the back end at any given time. And so we needed those to be done very quickly. Therefore, we knew we needed them to happen on-prem in a reliable environment like Anthos.
So that's the design, right? You've got a team of developers familiar with GKE and the broader Google Cloud platform. You're using those tools to build other experiences. But because you have this tight latency budget and you've got to be available, even if the network connections that are connecting that environment back to the public cloud are severed, you've got to be online. Otherwise, people get stuck in this environment that's no fun. So, how did you find a solution to that? What was the path to selecting Anthos?
Yeah, I think we evaluated a bunch of different, um, I guess, like managed Kubernetes systems, and just liked how close to, I guess, like the Kubernetes environments we had been running with already, like GKE, obviously, and also we had some like custom built kubeadm clusters we were running, and yeah, the API just being what it is, and us already having a lot of tools in place and in heavy use from GCP, made it really attractive for us.
That's It echoes exactly what we've heard from a lot of your peers and other customers where they go, I just want the Google one, but I just want it right there. So happy that we were able to deliver on that. You know, maybe help us like, my team, the folks at SADA, how were we a part of this cycle?
Yeah, huge. First thing, like reached out, um, or I guess actually first thing it was through just a rep that we had. Asked them a couple questions about Anthos, and they got us in touch with SATA, and immediately just from discovering what us consuming Anthos might look like and sort of mapping that out, but straight down to like just nuts and bolts of how we want it to be architected, how do we install it, and even right off the bat, quite a bit of just troubleshooting with us to get our configuration, like jump box stuff set up right, even. So, yeah, heavily involved like right away with SATA, which really made it a lot easier to get on board with Anthos.
That's great to hear. I really appreciate it. I mean, if you look at the nuance of these kinds of systems, developers that are born in the cloud, they have so much of the basics of infrastructure just get handled by the cloud provider. Anthos, you've got a little more to work on, so it can always be helpful to have folks assist. So as you built this application up, distributed it now in this incredible environment, what's the result? Like how has this affected the experience of your customers, the folks that are coming through the Omega Mart experience?
Yeah, Anthos has provided us a really reliable environment to give our guests this really dynamic experience as they go through, as their choices actually affect their environment, as their choices actually create a new world as they go through this experience. We wouldn't be able to do that without these high available services.
So yeah, I agree. What I saw when I came into the environment was not only our crew who was trying to document how it works, and trust me, that's crazy on its own, but a whole bunch of other attendees and participants. And as we would go through, I would, boop the trigger that says that I've now hacked into the system and taken it over, and the lights would dim and change. Everybody would genuinely scared, like fairly freaked out that some serious stuff is going down, and maybe they've touched the wrong thing or pulled on the wrong box. So it's really a compelling environment, and you can tell how quickly that magic illusion would break down if it just sort of paused and hung, and you had to wait for a lot more than 50 milliseconds, and things felt slow. So I'm happy about the combined solution and how it's really delivering on the product promise for you. So I'm super thankful for Nathan and Jordan taking the time to connect with our audience, to walk them through how you used Anthos to create such a powerful experience, and to talk through how SADA helped. Thank you so much for taking the cycles.
Thank you, Miles. It's been a pleasure to be here and talk to you and everyone at Google's Cloud Next. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Miles, and everyone for listening.
Folks, thank you so much for taking the time and watching this video. We've built a great project, but we need your feedback. There's a survey button here someplace. Take a click on that and let us know exactly how this worked. We also know that people want to get started right away with Anthos. We've built a great program at SADA. It's just sada.com/Anthos. Looking forward to seeing you in the next project together. Cheers.